Oye, hello. So, continuation of the last video, which I think I haven't even published yet. But I keep on going through these little mini gestalt switches recently. And I'm sure whenever I describe it, it's just like, yeah, okay, either that makes sense or you're full of shit. But for me, experiencing it, like, even if the language I would have used previously is kind of the same, the feeling is different, if that makes any sense at all. I want to start by saying, before I go into this, that people that say stuff like, oh god, motorcycles are going to kill me, or themselves, not that, but they did almost. That was not necessary, what they just did. That, you know, people that are just like, capitalism is the one and only evil, and etc., like, are just as bad at describing what capitalism really is. But it's only been recently that I've realized in a more visceral way, because a lot of times, you know, I've kind of waffled on the, is it capitalism, or is it like so many pundits, right-wing pundits, I could say, they believe in greed, but they don't think capitalism's bad. You know, can capitalism at all be rehabilitated? And I've come to the conclusion, no. It can't be any more rehabilitated than, say, any other kind of tyranny. You know, you can have a good king. You could have good oligarchs, good bosses, whatever. It can happen. But ultimately, it's still a tyranny. Capitalism is a tyrannical structure. It is an authoritarian structure. And it is not the meritocracy it's sold to be. It is not freedom. And while I've always realized that, you know, to some extent our freedom is bought, you know, our way of living, when we think of free and quality of life, is all bought with exploited labor across the ocean. But, you know, I never thought of it as, that is authoritarianism. I was always just like, yeah, this exploited labor across the ocean, that's no good. We need human rights for everyone. But that's kind of how the labor movement was assuaged, was bribed out of going all the way toward an actual equitable way of living for everyone. Was that capitalists gave them a good enough life, gave us a good enough life, that we stopped pushing for revolution, for justice. And it worked really well for a while, and then they started upping the amount of consolidation and the amount of industry going overseas and the exploitation overseas. And then now they got us kind of from both ends. We don't care enough about workers overseas, but their plight is our plight. Their destiny is entwined with our destiny, the working class's destiny. So either we are in solidarity with them, or we are just the next rung up in the ladder of exploitation. And just like the lower class white during the antebellum South was convinced that their status was high enough because at least they weren't slaves. You know, there was someone lower than them. They felt like they were they could move a little bit, even though they were exploited as well. We, the working class in America and in the West, have been bribed out of helping others in other countries. We don't see them as being with us. There's something separate. But I mean, think about that coffee bean grower, the farmers in Africa and South America. Like, those people don't make money. They can own their own farms, you know, which is supposed to be like, yeah, they're entrepreneurs. Shouldn't they be making? No, they're not. They're not doing great. You know, that they get paid like cents for a whole bag of beans, like maybe a couple bucks or something. It takes a long time to harvest, and taking care of the land, which they don't really get to take care of because they don't have the money to reinvest in the land, which is shooting us in the foot, because if you like coffee, we're destroying all the good coffee growing places. Like, brilliant, us, way to go. Capitalism, that's what it does. That's what it does. It's this whole system of profits first exploitation. And you forget that you're in this chain once you start making a certain amount. So just like in this country, the different statuses of wealth and rank within the corporate hierarchy, within the job hierarchy, what's considered dignified and what's considered unskilled and undignified, is all to keep us competing instead of cooperating. So is the whole idea of borders, right? So is this sense that that they're a different country, that's their problem. And it's just like, well, wait, they're a different country. Most of them are nominally, republics or democracies. They're all capitalist, like all of them. And yet they're making jack shit. Like, everyone in the chain is making nothing except for the owners, right, of all of it, who are making bank, right? The middlemen. And that's the capitalist class, that's the owning class. And what would an actual equitable system look like? Everybody that's working on it gets a say. Everybody that's working within there, producing, has a stake. Why can't you fire your boss? Why can't all the workers who all work at this place, who all own the place by virtue of them producing for it, actually own the place well enough that they can fire a dysfunctional boss? Like, I realize there are hairy questions as far as what do you do with what's to keep the workers from just stealing all the capital or whatever. No one would want to invest anymore. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I think obviously in a system where it's already equitable, it wouldn't be as big a problem because there wouldn't be one dude who wanted to invest. Everyone would have a money that they would want to invest, that they'd say, oh, hey, we need X thing, or hey, Joe went overseas and he found out that they have this kind of industry that's really cool. Wouldn't it be cool if we could produce that? And they'd all pool their resources and they all own it. You don't have to wait for the big capitalist to come in and save the day and then everybody, bow down and give him all the profits because, well, he was the one that took the risk. It's only that way because it's already unequal. Like, it's self-perpetuating. Anyway, rant over. That didn't go exactly where I thought it would, but yeah, rant over.